Yo, what's up guys? Originally, I just want to do a balanced price prediction, but to be honest, it's so at random which LD5 gets buffed that I kind of went over every LD5 that's bad and then just decided like, okay, how would I buff them? With some additions with the chat of like getting some ideas. Sure, with the units I do have, I already thought about like how I would buff them, and the other units that I don't have, I don't think too much about, so for that reason. However, first we start off with what units do I think could get a nerf. I don't really think they're gonna get a nerf. Then the JJK units, then my units, and then going through all of the dark units and then all of the light units. So it's a little bit a longer video, but I hope you enjoy. So your shitty LD5 will be addressed in this video as well. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Yo, what's up guys? Gonna do a balance prediction video. Was not really planning on doing it, but then I was like, why not? Because the balance patch probably gonna come after the Legend Tournament. So after the Legend Tournament means that we have a few more days of waiting, but are we going to be waiting for nothing? Could be, who knows. So thing is, we are in SWC season, and in SWC season means mostly no RTA changes or no big RTA changes. So because of that, I think it's not going to be addressing that much RTA. So you might be thinking about like, okay, what about the Holy Trinity with the Velajul, Chandra, Sagar? This one, and well, you know where they are. So I think no changes. That's what I do think. I would be surprised if they actually do go for changes in those kind of units. LD5s, let's say OP LD5s. Currently, there's not that many OP LD5s. Like which OP LD5s are kind of there? I would say probably Julian / Gianna / Ragdoll / pretty much just, well, are they really that much better than the others? Neftis? No, Neftis is not really an OP LD5 at the moment at all. But yeah, those are kind of like the options of strong net 5s out there. But are they gonna get a nerf? I don't think so. I would be surprised if they actually get a nerf. Like all of those units, let's just say, etc. I don't think that they would get a nerf. They could maybe do a Julian nerf if they want to. There are a few options out there. But I kind of doubt that they would actually go for a Julian nerf in the first place, because it's just a lot of the SWC players kind of do rely on it a lot. What if they do? I would go for Julian nerf on a nerf is remove CR in S2. So that does mean like if I were to remove or like nerf Julian, which they could do maybe after SWC, but if they were to do it, I would remove the crit rate in the S2, because the crit rate in the S2 just makes Julian a lot more difficult to build. Plus, it's just something that Verdiheal doesn't really need as well. So because some people are saying like, yeah, then you're gonna nerf Verdiheal. Verdiheal, he doesn't need that bonus. He's 100 crit rate anyway. So this thing, you could even say, because he awakens into Noble Agreement, which is the skill 2, that if he awakens into the Noble Agreement, he takes away the crit rate. So technically you could nerf this without nerfing Verd by saying like, okay, you awaken into it by getting a chance to stun and dealing damage by your speed, because that is the two different parts different than this, but you take away the crit rate. So that is something that you could nerf him without nerfing Verd. So if you were to nerf that, that could be an option. Gianna nerf, I'm actually not too sure. It was very recently buffed. A lot of units or a lot of people don't really like playing into her. You could simply increase cooltime S3, or you could go for a 50% stun on no debuff. Something like that, or just 50 to like whatever, 80 or so. That is something that if you want to nerf a Gianna, that could definitely be a way to nerf the Gianna if you want to nerf Gianna in that sense. Ragdoll, I think Ragdoll is nerf nonsense passive meta. Ragdoll nerf just kind of needs other units to be nerfed. So Gapso / Angela / Lucia / whatever. Because Ragdoll by itself doesn't need a nerf. It's just that the units around Ragdoll kind of do need the nerf more than anything. That's kind of the thing. How about a sleep instead of a stun? Could be. I think that's kind of bad. It could be an option that you would sleep things but not stun them. So yeah, those are the what ifs on those. I think I'm gonna do what ifs. Let's say they want to what if the Chandra Velajul Cigars as well. I think from those three, the easiest to nerf, in my opinion, is Sagar by if you have the S3, push back on non-selected 50%. Instead of like, currently it is 100% pushback on the Chandra pushback or some shit. Yeah, it goes to 0. So it's not even 100, it goes to 0. You could make this like 100 on the other targets, or like 50%, or like 70. If you do something like that, I think Cigar would be fine as is. Because I don't really think you want to address the skill 1 or skill 2 or make cooldowns longer or anything like that. Same for Julian. If you would make Julian cooldown longer on the S2, he's going to be very bad again. It's... yeah, I think that's kind of fine. The cooldown on 4 is a little bit short, but if you don't push back fully, it would already be a little bit less. But you could say CD longer. That could be an option. Then we have Chandra. I think Chandra's a little bit harder to nerf. Chandra did already recently have the nerf. What you could do to Chandra, I'm not sure if it would make him really bad again if you were to say like he gets a... he gets 100 crit rate on the skill 1 rather than a guaranteed crit. That would gut him pretty hard though. I'm not sure if that would be a right approach. But that would also... no, I think that would be kind of bad. Change leader skill? I'm not sure. I think anyway, like if you would remove his leader skill, he's instantly bad. If you make cooldown longer on this kind of okay-ish. Cooldown longer on that's kind of okay-ish. But stun rate going down, that was the easiest thing. But if you were to remove his always crit, I think it would be pretty bad. So I'm not too sure. Attack bar on the S3. That could be a thing. Skill 1 does 4 things. Yeah, the skill 1 is kind of loaded. It is. Do you awaken? Yeah, you do awaken into skill 1. So, yeah, they could maybe take away something on that skill 1. I don't know. Maybe completely remove the stun from the skill 1. Would that be a hard cut? So you can only stun on Despair. I think that would be kind of fair. So those would be options for those. Let's go to Valid Job. But then again, these are just what ifs. Because I think that they could be nerfed. But am I really saying like, oh, nerf them by doing this? I think they're kind of fine if they're not nerfed. Like, I don't really mind if they're not nerfed for pretty much all of them. But if you were to say like, okay, what are the best units in game or the most contested units in game? And mostly they do tend to address them at some point. These are things that you could address them by. This one, Valid. How would we... I don't think you want to increase the cooltime on this. You could lower the healing on this. Make the healing go to 10%. That could be a thing. Because I don't think you really want to change cooldowns. You could give this attack bar lower. S3 less 8B or S2 less healing. I think something like that. Because if you're going to make punishments that again, it's going to be kind of bad. Yeah, you would... yeah, this is like... fucks Fermion. But then it's pretty easy to say to Fermion, land your provokes with higher rates or whatever. It's just simple as that. Guarantee provoke, easy. Nerf the hidden ability where you always resist shit. Yeah, something like that. So that is the only thing that I would say for nerfs. So, nerfs. I think that these are the only units that could be on nerfs. Anything else, I would be kind of surprised if they would nerf it. Like, sure, Berkild already nerfed, Laura already nerfed, Veronica already nerfed. All of the other things kind of already nerfed. So I would say for nerfs, it is probably this. That's the only thing that could be out there. But then let's say buffs, which this is always going to be super at random. What are they buffing? Maybe you've seen like the South Park episode where they have like this Wheel of Fortune. They cut the chickens off a head and then they let it run. And then wherever it goes to, that's where like they're starting to buff random shit. That is sometimes how it kind of feels for Summoners War, like the way they're buffing things. But things that I do expect to be in the buffs are the JJK units, which are pretty easy to talk about JJK units. And I do think since it is a RTA season, that I wouldn't be surprised if they would mainly address the ones that are siege related. So it's going to be buffs, it's going to be siege / PV / maybe a normal arena. Because it's not going to be that RTA related. So that's kind of what I think. So what is a typical siege JJK unit? Itadoris. Because Itadoris, all of them have a guild lead on, well, pretty much not that interesting stuff. If they would change any of the Itadoris to a speed lead, it would already become interesting. So the fire Itadori on speed lead would be usable. The water one, maybe a little bit less because we already have a 28 lead on water with the Miang. This one, even this one would be... Well, I'm not sure about the 4 stars. Maybe this one, but no, I think this one... maybe a counter a little bit more against some things, but... If they would have put the dark one on a speed lead... Yeah, I think mainly for fire and dark, if they were to get speed leads, it would be pretty nice. Water could get speed lead as well. So I do think that that could be one of those options as well. Lead on wind. It's not that bad, no. But yeah, there's a few options that, yeah, they could do it for the 4 stars that they have a new 4-star lead in there. So they could actually give it to the Itadoris on the 4 stars as well. So that would be Itadori speed lead. I would also say for Itadori, let's just say this, guild speed lead, any of them. I would also say for the Itadoris is that they just need an overall damage increase, because in general, the skill kit of this thing is not bad. It just needs a change on the awakening. Fire, speed awakening. Would that make him too good? I know I can't drive, but I don't give a shit. But speed awakening, because this thing is currently awakening into crit rate, where his skill 3 is a guaranteed crit, and this skill is a 50% crit up. Yeah, that's fucking useless. So they could give, let's say, this could also be a the speed slash ack. Ack is not that bad. Speed wanking, yeah, speed wanking. Awakening. So yeah, he gets extra speed wanking. Fucking fast. He's the one pump man. He's like done. Oh wait. Yeah, so that would be an option, and just overall damage increase. Awakening. I know it's wrong, but awakening. Whatever you like. But I think in general, this thing, if it had a little bit more damage, they would be fine. This thing, if it had a little bit more damage, it would be fine. Light, I would say light needs... Would light be OP if the light can't be armor broken? I don't care to write it correctly. You just have to deal with it. But if this thing, it's a good counter into Vitra, but it's also a bad counter into Vitra because it still gets armor broken. If it wouldn't be getting armor broken, it will be a really good counter into Vitra in the first place. So that could be a buff on that. And Dark, like all of the others, I would just say damage increase and it would kind of be fine. Like this thing, if it had the extra damage, it would be fine. That thing, if it had extra damage, will be fine. So yeah, for these, I would just say more or less the damage increases. Gojos. I think Gojos are a little too much chance of being OP in RTA, and therefore they might not really address too much of them. So they could address them, but I'm not sure. But I think for Gojos in general, Awakening in... Oh, I can still put it S1. So all of the S1s on the Gojos are kind of like, it's just a stun rate 50%, but it's not that great. But the biggest issue is that we have a defense type over there, defense type over there, and defense type over there. Whereas they have a skill 1 that's full scaling on attack. If they were to change those skill 1s, they would already change the family to a good amount, where I would say that it would change out a lot. Like we'd have seen it with the Puppeteers, right? The moment that the Puppeteers got like a healing on skill 1 or something extra on skill 1, suddenly they were good. So that is something that they could add to the Gojos to make it more interesting as well. But besides that, I think they still need to tweak some of the things to... for example, fire, what's it called? Lower CD S2. Like this thing, for example, if it has like 3-turn cooldown, it is too long. It is okay, but too long cooldown. If you lower that, it's fine. For the, what is it? Water / light. The S2. The S2 is just straight up garbage. S2, always 3 hits. Like, fuck that bullshit with like 2 to 3 hits. Like, who needs 2 to 3 hits? Just always be 3 hits. That's just stupid, man. This one, wait, this one has the same thing. Yeah, always, this one is the same one. So Wind even has that as well. I think that this skill is pretty good. Maybe for the Wind one. Because now he's just fighting to be in the spot with Cigar, but this thing is just so much worse than Cigar. Because, yeah, Cigar has full pushback and a strip going in front of it. But if you were to get a no glancing so you can always land on fire, it would be pretty interesting. Light one, I think if you make this 3-turn, it would already be fine. Maybe up the damage a little bit on this, but I don't think it is that bad, to be honest. And this one, same thing. So I think the rest of them are kind of okay-ish in that sense if you were to buff them. Let's go for Megami's. Megami, well, Dark one is, I would say in general, probably also their skill 1 is kind of shit. If you would change their skill 1 to be good, all of them would be a lot better. Because a lot of them have the passives. Like, if you up the activation rates on this, or you make it a 2-turn, 2-turn would be pretty OP though. But I would rather have one of the two on 2 turns than both on 1 turn. 1 turn is just so bad. Because the thing is with 1 turn is if, let's say you landed at 80% attack bar of the enemy, then your armor break and everything is just gonna stick for 20% attack bar. Whereas if you land it for a 2-turn, you land it for at least 120%. Which is a really big difference in that sense. So, therefore, 2-turn is always like a million times better than a 1-turn. It's not just twice as good. So, you have that going, but I would say, especially for the Dark one, change S3 final hit. The final hit on this is just really bad. Like, the pushback is pretty good, the strip is pretty good, but I would say that I'd rather have 2 strips. And then 3 and 4 would do the pushback. So that would actually be a good one, yeah. So that would mean a hit 1/2, or 1 and 2 is strip, 2 and 3. No, wait, 3 and 4 is pushback. I think then you would have a very good consistent stripper. Plus you would have a very nice pushbacker, Hagen counter, blah, 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 all that kind of good stuff. Sure, it's still kind of on the low base speed. It's like if you really want to push it hard, you could speed awakening him. But I think if you already do this and change a little bit on the S1, S2, it would be pretty good already. Light one, well, it's a 4-star. I feel like the light one, or all of the 4-stars are kind of like, yeah, just let it be bad. I don't know. It's kind of a Hagen counter, but also not that great. I feel like that this one is already fine. Wind one does seem fine to me already. It doesn't really need to change. This is also 4-star. I would say that this one especially needs like the changes in it. Needs better S1/S2. That's the main thing. Like this one, more than any of them, really needs a better skill 1 or skill 2, because you get a turn and then you do fucking absolutely nothing. That's just useless. That could also be a thing. So then moving on next to oh, we don't see them from here. Nobaras. I kind of dislike all of the Nobaras at the moment. Nobara and, well, Fire 1. Perfect AI, more damage. That's, oh no, wait, this is Dark. Dark, that. Water 1 is good. No, I feel like the Water 1 is kind of shit as well. Light, I'm not even sure how you would buff this. Because it's kind of like a Molong, but I feel like it's just straight up bad. Like anyone that owns her, that have thought about her and how you would buff her, because I legit have no clue. At least, like, we could say for all of them, the 4 hairpin stuff less random. Because if you hit 2 on the same target and you go up to 3 turns, it is pretty good. But right now it's pretty bad. 40% of own HP. Ooh, that could be interesting. That could be interesting. That could be something. Then you would fucking one-shot things. But that would be pretty cool though. Maybe a bit OP. But yeah, that would be a lot of damage. That would definitely be a lot of damage. Maybe to the point where you can maybe not kill, but leave them at 1 HP. Oh, I don't know. Could be something, could be something. Wind 1. Yeah, there were a lot of people saying like, oh, super hyped about this. But if you change like the hairpin thing to be less random, then she would be good right away as well. It's just that this is like too random to get the provokes in and stuff. If the hairpin skill was less random, it would have already been fine on her. Water, I would say, wait, this one is for, wait, how many do they have? That's the lights. Well, you'll figure it out which one has it. I don't care. The water one, main thing is, yeah, activation rates to shit, absolutely. The activation rate is shit, and this thing is also... Yeah, it's kind of out of key to have, like, damage up for every harmful effects. I don't know, but... This thing for sure has to just get, like, 100% activation. That's the main thing, otherwise it's just straight up terrible. Fire one, I don't think the fire one. Like, the 4 stars, I don't really want to address the 4 stars, because I think the 4 stars are more in the family anyways to just get skill ups in. That's about it. So I think that these are what I would say are the good odds for buffs on the JJK units. Oh, wait, then we have one more very important. Sukuna. Give it a passive, because currently it doesn't have a passive. Yeah, just for some reason they just stopped after skill 1 and skill 2. Windobara is also fixed by this. If you give Windobara less random on the S2, then it would be a lot better of a unit already. But yeah, Sukuna just needs a passive, because Sukuna skill 1, skill 2 are definitely not bad. Like, keep in mind, name any passive that is relatively decent, and then put that passive on this unit, and it will be good. Ragdoll passive on this, good. Jaeger passive on this, good. Akroma passive on this, good. Chow passive would even be good over here. Leica passive, fucking insane. Like, name any decent bruiser passive. Fire monkey passive, fucking insane. Like, name any passive with these 2 skills, and it would be an insane fucking bruiser right there. It's just that the passive is just fucking horrendously bad and not doing anything. But give him any of those good passives as a bruiser, it would be fucking insane. So... yeah, just give him that, and I think he'd be definitely a fine unit right there. Light Gojo, I went for mainly for the S2 to always be 3 hits. Because and then also change the Awakening for skill 1 to be defense scaling in his case. So I think that's all for the JJK units. Then they could still be addressing a whole bunch of other things out there that could be addressed. It's going to be super at random. Like, for example, buff LD5s. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on and on. Like, you have Valdemar, you have Ritsu, you have Salah, you have, like, I don't know, Ariana, you have, I don't know, Light Geralt, Lars, I guess. Like, all of those things are just pretty terrible and they could be buffed, and there's just pretty much full at random, like how you would buff them if you would buff them. For example, for me, the Ritsu, like the units that I have, I thought more about like how you would buff them. Like for me, a super obvious buff would be like Dark Demon, give this an insta turn. Like, who the fuck is Valdemar? Yeah, exactly. This thing is Valdemar. But then as this thing, the worst unit in game. But yeah, Dark Demon, for example, super easily buffed if you just make this an insta gain of an attack bar. But you could also change it to, let's say, deals the S3 insta turn, and for every enemy turn, lose HP, gain ATB. That would, like, if you want to make this thing fucking insane, give him this. Maybe a little bit too OP, but if you want to make Dark Demon to like a good bruiser, you lose HP for every enemy turn and you gain attack bar for every enemy turn. That would be insane, right? Would be cool. But they probably never do that. Ritsu, because I'm just gonna go over the units that I have, and then because I thought about those earlier. So Ritsu is very easy to buff this one by saying S3 always lands or S3 selectable. And what does mean S3 selectable? Well, or the thing is with this, if you land this on a unit and then you have the skill that you can use it again, it will always activate, even when you don't want it to activate. Even if you hit the same target again, it will still put the lock on that again, and this skill won't go on cooldown again, which is just stupid. But then if you would say like, oh, then you just place it somewhere else, but then you replace the lock what you had on unit A to unit B. So the moment that he gets a turn where the lock is already there and the lock skill is on cooldown or off cooldown, it's just bad, which just make this thing whole like terrible. So that's just a super easy fix for making it selectable. As like you select if you want to place a lock in the turn you're hitting or not. Simple as that. Like, not this whole fucking wall of text with getting speed and blah blah blah. It's not even a buff. It's fucking useless. Then other units that I have, well, we could talk about Nyx. I'm not even sure how you would buff Nyx. You could make Nyx to a simpler or like a unit that you have in Chronicles, and that's on hit, steal, buffs. And then on with more stolen buffs, more damage. That's what they have in Chronicles. So if you want to do the same thing, they actually kind of did that for Song Xingla with multi-hits and a multiple times stunning. That's something that you could do as well. If Dark Demon cannot be reset, would it be too strong of a buff? I think that would be a little bit strong, yeah. So that is something that you could give an easy buff to Nyx. Let's just go through a bunch of other units. First, the units that I have, because I thought about those already and I don't have to rethink about those. And then we can think about like the other units that also could be interesting. Humble. Humble is very simple. Remove S2. Rework it to extra damage. Like whatever you do to it, remove the S2 and rework it to a way that you deal extra damage on S3. That's all there is to it. Because there's no way that this unit is actually going to have accuracy to land this shit. That's just stupid. Doesn't make any sense. Any of the other units are kind of fine-ish. Oh yeah, this one is Ian. CR Awakening. It's not rocket science. It is not rocket science. Okay, then let's talk about, for normal elemental units, it's going to be full at random. Force is going to be full at random. So, LD5s, let's talk about LD5s that are bad, and then let's see how we can buff them. Let's just start off at the top. I think Nyx is kind of fine. It's not a great unit, but I think he is kind of fine. What does he awaken into? Resistance. For whatever reason. But yeah, Nyx is it a fine unit? Not sure. I think it's kind of okay. The thing is, he kind of wants to strip as well, but then he's taking over from tricks a little bit too much, right? So there could be something more in his passive. I think he's kind of good already, so I think he's kind of fine. It could be worse. This one, to be honest, I think Celeste is kind of decent as well. Yeah, I think she's kind of decent. I don't think she's that bad. Valdemar, this one is pretty easy to buff as well. Valdemar. If 3 buffs, 100% chance land bomb. Simple as that. If he has 3 buffs, he has a guaranteed land of his bomb, so he becomes the most consistent bomber in game. And then you can at least use him as a bomber. Still kind of a bad unit, but it is already a Voldemort. Yeah, Voldemort with a goddamn sword, but he's doing terrible. But yeah, if he just becomes a 100% guaranteed bomber, I think he would not be that bad. It's just that his give better base stats. I don't know, like why the fuck does he need HP bomber? Weird. This thing, Triss. Oh yeah, that's the same as Celeste. I don't like. Some people are saying that she's really bad. I think she's not that bad. She has like decent pairs. You could even pair this one with this one, and you would already do a lot of damage. So it's not that bad for a nuking unit. This one, however, I have no clue. Oh wait, that's this one, Hilda. I have no clue how you would buff this. I feel like she's so bad. Would you just give... I would almost say healing in the S2 or so. Because just a shield on the S2 is kind of bad. Or it does give immunity right now, but I don't know. I don't know. Did you do light yet? No, I didn't do light yet. So yeah, that's just kind of a weird one. Twin Angels. This one is the one that strips. Wait, is this the one that's... Oh no, this is the armor breaking one. Is it strip armor break? No, it's just the armor break. How about you be more consistent? Invisible instead of immunity? Yeah. Because this rate is not that great. Like 50 chance, 3 hit. Or, no. That's make that a fucking 100% or so. I don't know. Or at least like 75 or 80 or... Because now you have a low chance armor break. That's just garbage. Fuck that shit. I would rather see that unit get to a 2-turn armor break with a 100% rate twice than this shit. This shit is just bad. Gapso, we don't have to talk. Liliana, I'm not sure about her. Like, how would you buff Liliana? She's not great. We do see her on defense sometimes, but how are we nerfing Gapso? Just delete the unit from the game. Good nerf. I don't think she's super bad, but she's also definitely not great. Maybe she needs some passive. Yeah, probably she needs something like this. If she has like a no stun or a no pushback on her passive while being in the Lord of Hell state, I think she would be pretty good. Yeah, and then also fix AI to not be potato. That kind of helps as well. It looks sick, true. Devaraja, definitely fine. Sigurd is fine. Kiara's fine. Salah, how are we fixing Salah? Ah, yeah, Salah's pretty easy to fix. I would say being a... Well, the thing is it's too random. Yeah, make it less random. So if you always target like the one target, like the highest A to B target, yeah, that's a good one. Because you actually, it wants to be kind of predictable or that kind of stuff. I don't know. What do you think about Ian? Ian already talked about because I do have an Ian, so that the part is easy for me. But Ian is just Crit Awakening. Simple. That's all you need. Let's move on next. Ivor's fine. Cassandra's fine. Bike, same shit. Zinasek, totally fine. Giselle, fine. Elena. Would Elena be too OP if you give her Speed Awakening? I think she would be kind of okay. She's just really rocking like bad on the base speed. If you give her Speed Awakening, she would be okay. Destiny. Destiny? I don't know. Sigurd is a bad Delta to Nev. Yeah, Destiny, I think... Wait, Destiny deserves this. Just by being coolest unit in game. S3 strips. Like, bro, imagine that this thing strips, defense breaks, and oblivions in the same hit. But then just make it low rate. Like, stripping is like 30% chance or so. Nev is on. True, but you can still pair it with a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I think if the skill 3 would strip, it's still like fucking insane difficult to build Destiny, but I think it would be pretty fine. There's this Reddit post, or not Reddit post, this post, which can help you with the predictions of the end of the season. Let's move on. Ritsu we did already mention. That one is pretty easy. Selectable or like S3 always lands, or selectable on the S3, because otherwise it's just like fucking garbage unit. Maximilian is fine. Maya. I think Maya needs S3 for no multi-hit for rest of team 1x per turn. I think that's good. So she becomes like an anti-cleave. So someone loosens you, and then only the first card hits, but not the rest of the card. But that only for like the first multi-hit of the time or so. It's something like that. But that's only like one multi-hit will be removed by that, and then she has to take a turn to get that part off cooldown. So, something like that. I think that would be pretty good. Because now it's just a super selfish passive, which is not that great. Jackson. Jackson is hard to say, because he's just a passive. Yeah, I think he's recently been buffed with this. I think Jackson is kind of fine. He's not really great, but he's kind of fine. He's all about like what's paired next to him, or what he's trying to counter. So you could give him more A to B in the S3. That could be a thing. Like if you want to buff him just by Jackson without touching the other things, because he's recently been buffed in this thing anyway. So I think that's fine. But I think Jackson is fine. I don't know. Toxic unit? It is a toxic unit, but now it's a toxic unit that doesn't do shit and stands on surfboard. Kiki, kind of fine. Ongyuki. I think Ongyuki, to be honest, is kind of fine. A lot of Ongyuki owners would disagree with me. I would say get better roots. Maybe slightly more damage on the S3. That's all I would do to it. Because currently he's kind of lacking damage, so if he adds a little bit more in that, it would be fine. Dumon, Hellafine, Gurkha. Gurkha's an easy one. Gurkha slides, let's say just like 3%, 5% healing on passive. That's all he needs. If he gets a little bit of that on passive, he will be fine. Van Cleef, oh fucking hell, man. Van Cleef has been buffed like a fucking million times, and he's... I'm currently not even sure if he's in a good state, in a bad state, or somewhere in the fucking middle. Yeah, I don't even know. I know too little about this unit in the first place. He does kind of AoE strip and everything. It is not that bad for a sequence he has, actually. If you were to give this thing a speed lead, he would be insane. Like, really insane. How crazy would it be if you say Speed Awakening? If you give him Speed Awakening, it would be pretty insane. His kit is pretty good, it's just hey gang exists. Yeah, that's for a lot of units. But if you give this thing Speed Awakening, it would be pretty nasty, not gonna lie. 118 base, doing strip, stun, AoE, everything. I think it would actually be fucking nasty. These are the same. Mukul. I think Mukul is fine if you have a Han, otherwise Mukul is not that interesting. But that is about it. Were I really to change anything on it? Not sure, not sure. S3 cleanses? Yeah, something more in the S3. Cleanse. If you were to give it another buff, like if you were to give it like a speed buff or something like that, it would be maybe a little bit too much. Or... not sure, maybe might be a little bit too much. Sienna, I think Sienna is kind of fine, but you could still say speed scaling S3. Because right now S2 speed scaling, S3 is not speed scaling, which kind of makes it weird. So you could give that, but it's kind of okay. Mugwa is to do damage on skill 3. That's actually a good one as well. Because Mugwa, does he do damage on S3? Doesn't show that he does damage, right? No, he doesn't. I think it's fine. I think it's fine he doesn't do damage on S3. Would be weird, because then you start activating ragdoll passives and shit. No, you don't want that. I thought for a second he did. Beelzebub we'd already talked about. That one is pretty easy. Beelzebub is pretty much something that insta-turn on the S3, and it would be cool if they, for every enemy turn, he loses HP and gains attack bar. Would be nice. Yeah, the silence is like 50%. Like, the 50% silence is also kind of bad. Yeah, I don't know. But to be honest, Sienna as a nuker is kind of okay already. We're just talking LD buffs, yeah, because the normal elemental units are going to be fully buffed at random anyway, so this is just for all of the LDs. Bella's fine, Hurtite. I would argue that Hurtite is fine just for siege stuff. That is, yeah, I think Hurtite, it's not a great unit, but where it is supposed to be used, it's kind of fine. Vader would say it's fine. Leona, oh, that's a rough one. Leona. Why Retash Waiting Rune to get a buff? Retash is fine. Leona, how would you buff Leona? If you were to give Leona anti-multi-hit, anti-death break, something like that. Anti-stun. Yo mama. Oh. Almost. But yeah, she just has to get something more in the passive. That's something that I would say. Because her S1, S2 is not that bad. It just needs something more to survive. Yeah, something to gain ATB. Could be. Alexandra, I think Alexandra is... it's not a great unit, but I think Alexandra is kind of fine. Only thing you could do to Alexandra is... Alexandra is S2 guarantee crit. Because now you can be fucked by glancing and like glancing effects and blah blah, all of that kind of nonsense. And yeah, fakes AI. Because she's a defense unit with like a fucking terrible AI, which... Zomtus, not what we like to see. Vivachel, hella good. Mi Ying. Mi Ying. What would we do to Mi Ying? I'm thinking about Mi Ying in... what's it called? Chronicles, but it's kind of similar unit in that one. Something more to the passive. You can, like, if you add something to this passive to gain A to B, but then he's a little bit too similar, like Feng Yang. Anti-stun? Did Vivachel always put herself to sleep? I think so. I'm not 100% sure. Anti-CC in passive? Or... oh, anti-attack break. Yeah, that could be cool. That could be a something. Attack buff on S2. Well, the thing is he can't awaken into the S2 because he already awakens into speed. And if you would change that, you would also have to change it for Finging or take away his speed awakening. I don't think you want to take away his speed awakening, but... yeah, it could be something. You could actually place this in the passive. Let's say that if you get recovery from the passive, if you recover, then you get an attack buff. Something like that. I don't know. Could be options for that. Nyx, we did already mention. And that is just to kind of rework Nyx where he becomes useful as a damage dealer. Which is, on hit you steal buffs rather than you just strip things. And with more stolen buffs you deal more damage. I think that Nyx would become a little bit more interesting. Because currently it's just kind of like garbage, just standing there hoping his passive will land. Neft is hella fine. The Bay, arguably the Bay is fine. Like, I don't think the Bay really needs anything more at the moment. It's not really crazy good unit, but he's definitely not bad. You could say the Bay slight damage increase / shield. Yeah, I think something like that. Sylvia, hella fine. Bananaman. Simple. Only thing you fucking need on this stupid unit. Vermos, fine. Lydia. Oh, Lydia, one of the worst units in game. How the fuck would you buff a Lydia to be good? You have to add something to the passive. Add something to passive. No, not really. S2O's crit? Wait, what is your awakening? Awakening is crit rate. Yeah, you could... yeah, that could actually be a thing. Awakening into S2 to always... crit, no matter buff / not. I think that would be a nice one. And then maybe you could... or maybe you could S3 gain A to B on damage. Build in them or so. I think that those could be like things that would make her good. Like if she would always crit, no matter if the enemy has buffs or not. And then she also gains attack bar on Nemesis kind of style-ish. Would be nice, would be nice. Woonsa is hella fine. Wooyoung is fine. Krakaka. I would say her S2 is loaded as fuck. If you make her S3 actually good. Speed awakening for Kraka. I would say up the numbers on the S2. Because if you up the numbers on the strip and death break and everything like that, she would actually be insane. I think that's kind of fine. I think Wooyoung, for respectively where she's used, she is pretty good. Increase the attack bar with full HP. That is actually a good part. I legit didn't even know that. Legit, I did not even know that Wooyoung had that. They could remove that. Yep, that's definitely a fair one to remove that. S3 usable when, yeah, S3 usable for protection while units are alive. That could be a something as well, yep. Because right now it's just useless to have the S3 if nothing is dead. I hate that about Seimei as well. Okay, Kraka, Rahul, talking about terrible units. Rahul, what would we like to do with a Rahul? Yeah. He does already strip. Delete. Yeah, could be a something. I don't know. Rahul is strip stun, but strip stun bus. That would be kind of loaded though, because he already has strip plus buff block. Yeah, something extra on S3 could be silence on turn. Silence 1 turn, death break, push back, push up, glance block. There's a few options that you could. Yeah, so if you add something to it, it will probably. Where the hell did I go? Over there. If you add something to it, he would be pretty nice. I think he would be pretty decent. What is his skill 1? Branding on the S1. It's not that bad. Not that bad. Fermion, this one is pretty easy. Fermion, would you say guaranteed provoke? Death break immunity, yeah. I think something like that, because he's already pretty decent actually by itself. Something like that, something like that. Maybe Death Break for S1. Shazam already has that, so it's kind of weird. This one is already fine. You could argue for Zhongxiang Lao S2 HP scaling. Because currently, well, both of them are like non-HP scaling, which is kind of weird. Ragdoll, hella fine. Nikki, fine. Gianna, fine. These nuts! Yeah, it's just weird where the S2 doesn't strip. Like, that's just as a start-off thing. Why the fuck would the S2 not strip? Whereas the S1 does strip. If you make the S2 already strip, I think he would do fine. It's not great. Maybe you could do a little bit something more. But at least make the S2 strip. Zeratul, I think Zeratul is actually kind of fine. Yeah, I actually honestly think that Zeratul doesn't really need... Yeah, strip before debuff. Does he not have strip before debuffs? Okay, if that's not the case, then definitely has to strip before debuffs. Yeah, Zeratul, I think Zeratul is actually kind of fine. It does have already pretty nice... You could say Zeratul up base speed, because Sean kind of deserves that as well. Like, if he gets decent base speed, he would be a lot better. Jara is pretty fine at the moment, actually. I don't think Jara's bad. It's not really an RTA unit that much, but I think Jara's kind of doing fine. Grogan, yeah, if you would ignore passes altogether on this, then it would maybe be too much. No, I think Grogan is kind of fine. Trinity, ooh, the hardest one to buff. Attack type, fucking easy. Not difficult about that one at all. Han, totally fine, and then we're through. Okay, let's do the same thing for light. Okay, this is going to be a lot longer of a video than expected, but fuck it, it's kind of fun to do. Bella, yeah, Bella's fine. What did you write about Leona? Leona, I wrote anti-death break, anti-multi-hit, anti-stun. Something to gather more turns and stuff like that without dying so easily. The JJK units we did already address early on, so we're gonna start from here. Silver. Silver is kind of fine. Like, this one is kind of scary to buff, because if you buff it, it immediately becomes, like, pretty fucking nasty. I would say the only thing he misses is kind of like a heal on something. If you give him heal on something, it would actually be really good. Because now it's a sport without a heal, and it always makes it kind of weird. Like the same thing that the Puppeteers had before. Without healing, they were kind of useless. Groa, that's the dot thingy. I think it's kind of fine. This unit is not that bad. It's very niche use, but it is very good at it. This thing, which is the light series. If she were to stack her S3 faster, she would be good. That's the only thing she needs. Lars, oh man. And that is the Light Geralt. What will we do with this thing? Maybe start with the adrenaline. He doesn't start away the match with adrenaline, right? Yeah, if he would start off with insta-turn, could be something. But if he would start off with, let's say, 3 or something, that would be nice too. Something like that. Give him a strip. If you give him a strip, he's gonna become like Athena, or like not Athena, but Kraka, but way better. I think if you give him some stacks at the start of the match, he would already be pretty decent. What's the point of extra adrenaline? Because then right away, if you get hit, you gain attack bar, right? Yeah, so if you started with 3 adrenaline, you get hit by the enemy, you gain attack bar. So that makes it pretty nice. Yeah, I kind of like the... I think it just kind of needs more turns. If want to be OP, give strip. Like that's if you give him strip with it, then it would be pretty nice. Oh, that would be a nice one too. Yeah, that it's kind of working like threat state. Threat state is not removed on AoE. Then it would be any of those buffs. You don't have to give everything, but any of those buffs would already make him pretty decent. Triss was fine. We said Siri. Yeah, I think just a fast way of stacking the S3 or... Well, I think you make a 100 crit rate anyway, so you don't really need the guaranteed crit on this shit anyways. Like, I think you make a speed crit rate attack in any kind of sense or shape or way. So guaranteed crit wouldn't really change her. She just needs a faster way of stacking this, because if she stacks this fast, she's fucking insane. Honestly, 1, 2, and 4 together would make him really good. Yeah, true. Mira and Gracia, I think these are actually kind of fine. They're actually used by a bunch of SWC players to a decent extent. We have seen it with Hanselot, we have seen it with Eric B used it, a bunch of other people used it. It's not crazy good, but it's pretty decent. The only thing you could say is Mira and Gra, and we would say higher activation on strip. Because currently the strip rate is not the highest of activation out there. Like, it's 3 times on a 50. Make that like a 60 or a 70-ish. Because currently it is pretty noticeable that it's low. Uldong is kind of fine. I don't think you would have to change anything to Uldong. It's kind of like where they changed it that you always get this already. It is pretty good of a unit. Jessica. I'm not sure how you would... Anti-pushbacks, maybe? I don't think she's really an RTA unit in the first place. I'm not sure. It's more of like an arena defense unit. But even there, she's not that great. Transfer 2 debuffs. Wait, she already does transfer 2 debuffs, right? With the S2? Maybe on the S1. That's like, yeah. Because the transfer on the S2 is really good, but the transfer on the the transfer on the S2 is really good, but the transfer on the S1 is kind of bad. Passive counter, not bad. That could definitely be a thing. Yeah, I think that's something like that. Passive counter or transfer on the S1. If she would always counter, she'd be fucking annoying though. DS. I'm not sure about this unit. Make debuff stay longer? Oh, yeah, that could be. So yeah, it's kind of like this thing where you make your own debuffs. Let's say that armor break for 2 turns comes in. You make it 3 turns on your own thing. That would be pretty nice. Yeah, I think DS is just like, it's not a bad unit, it's just activation rates are kind of bad. I think that's pretty much the only thing for DS. Like, DS besides that, he does have like pretty decent stuff, pretty decent damage. But the moment he has like higher rates of landing his stun and his branding or whatever he does, yeah, then he would be pretty good. Burkeld is fine. Ian, well, we did already talk about Ian. That one is super easy to fix. Man, kind of the list already. Ian. Cred Awakening, very easy. That one is free to play unit, no one cares. Ha. Kovaci, hella fine. Audrey, Loki, I feel like Audrey is fine. I don't think Audrey needs anything buff change. It's not like a spammable unit, but she's definitely kind of good. Ariana. Yeah, what the fuck would you do to this thing? Skill 3, lower cooldown. Could be, could be. Yeah, I don't even... I don't even know what the fuck you're supposed to do with it, but rework that fucking S3. There's just too little going on, man. Hey, we cooldown like Jameir? I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go, but you pretty much have to completely change this shit. It's kind of terrible. Veronica's fine. Shun. Shun is actually... and whatever it's called. Passive? Is it passive? No, Shadow Tie. Yeah, if it would guarantee land on the tie, it would be pretty nice. Yeah, that skill 3 is just too long of a cooldown for a shitty revive. So Ariana, just, I don't even know what to say. It's a shit unit. Benedict. I would say Benedict is one of those, like, if you... Benedict... Slide damage up. That's all you need. If he gets a little bit more damage, he's good. Allah. I think Allah's kind of fine. You just have to pair it with other good units to make it work, but she's definitely not that bad. Daniel, I don't think Daniel's that bad. It's just hard to land his stuff in the right timing, but it's not that bad of a unit at all. Dorothy, I would argue, well, Dorothy, I would just say a little bit damage up. But Dorothy in general is actually not a bad unit with the speed lead right now. It's definitely not that bad. Seimei, I could argue for Seimei's change the accuracy awakening into resistance, but she's a fine unit. Crack, I would say it's kind of fine. Talisman, absolutely fine. Humble, we did speak about Humble earlier already. Remove the skill 2 and rework the skill 2 to give extra damage on the skill 3. It could even be that give this thing attack buff on self, so, something like that. I don't know. Crack on speed, no, crack on crack would not be good. Narsha's fine, Lucifer hella fine, Geldnir's fine, Valant is fine, free to play, no one cares, is fine. Celia's kind of a bad unit. What would you always target immunity with S3? I think that would already make her a lot better than is right now. Because if there's shield and immunity, she goes for the shield and then she hits the immunity, it's just stupid. But does that make her good enough already? I'm not sure. Sleep without buff, I like that. I like that, I like that. Yeah, it's... how much is it? No, it is 100%. Well, not on this one. But this one is 90? What the fuck you 94? Most of the buffs that I say is like, okay, activation rate, activation rate, activation rate. It's just so stupid. Tianlang, hella fine. Oberon, fine. Wajet, arguably fine. It's pretty decent as a unit itself still. Yeah, I would say so. Like, I wouldn't give more ATB push up to his stuff again because he would become pretty insane. ISIS, without guarantee Land of Oblivion, she's just shit. Like, I would rather have them remove the silence and guarantee Land of Oblivion than this bullshit it does right now. Like, by a long shot. Pantas is fine. Alshar, free to play, no one cares. Illinois is fine. Nigong. Ugh. Nigong. Nigong used to be like, oh, this is the only AoE reviver. Now everyone and their mom is an AoE reviver. I would say that S3 passive damage reduce always works. I think that's the only thing that I could say. That his passive or this thing that is in there, it always activates. Because now if it only activates while having it used, it's kind of bad. Then he would still not be a great unit, but he would at least be a little bit more usable on arena defense. These are fine, these are fine. Shazam. I think Shazam is actually not that bad. Like, a lot of people meme on Shazam, but I think he's still one of the better siege defense units out there. It's not crazy good, but it's definitely not bad. You could actually do that as well. In Chronicles, they have immunity. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Shazam skill 1 is pretty nice, plus AoE counter is pretty nice. So I think in general, this Shazam is kind of fine for me. Artemil is fine. Some people might argue that Artemil is not good enough. You could give him like anti-stun, but if you give Artemil anti-stun, this thing is gonna be first pick in every fucking match. It would be so fucking insane. I think a good Artemil is already pretty good in current meta. Just need him fast enough and deal high enough damage. Jaeger! Well, I think Jaeger is very easy. It's like up rates on S3. Like, if you have this thing counter more, like, let's say you make this 75% or like 80% and it counters and threat states all the fucking time, Jaeger would be so fucking good. Jaeger would actually be fucking insane if, let's say you make this 100%, and every hit you do, you have to fight a threat state on this. You can't get a single hit through. It would be insanely toxic. So, yeah, I would say make this like 75% or so, and it would be definitely pretty good. We were at Jaeger. Laura, hella fine. Lima. Lima I do want to address, because every Oracle got buffed since Nerf, except her. So, legit, every Oracle got buffed, because the initial buffs were on the Sierra, the Juno, and the Praha. And then last balance patch did address Gianna. So, I would say, for her, remove Awakening in S2. Because now she has the Awakening in S2 to get a... she gets like the 100% activation rates and the slows. Fuck that shit. We do... Awakening in S1 is 50% ATB per hit. Fuck y'all. This is what this is the real Awakening that we need. Fuck this Awakening on the S2. Give me back her for 45 attack per hit if she full crits. That is the, like, hands down. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Like, fuck this S2. No one cares. No one gives a shit about that S2. Julian, well, I'd rather nerf than buff. Sean, base speed up for sure. I think if you just up the base speed on him, he's already fine. Who wants Rev Lima every game again? It was barely used. I was the only dude actually using it. Is patch actually coming today? No, probably like early next week. But I think, yeah, just if you up the base on this, I don't think it really needs more, because skill 2 and skill 3 are fine. It's just terrible base, and therefore this thing is so hard to build. Let's say you make it 101 speed, it just becomes so much easier to build on Vio, and then it just becomes good already. I think just base speed up. 95 Dolan. I haven't heard Dolan in a while. Eludia, I think Eludia is kind of fine. Zerath is fine. Akroma's fine. Some people might argue that Akroma's not fine, but get better runes. Akroma's fine. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the LD5s that I think are bad buffed. Eludia not fine. Yeah, you want higher activation rates. I think it's fine. Light Monkey's fine. It's just not really his meta, but I think he's fine as a unit. In his 5th pick, he's still one of the best, like, AoE pushback units in the game, if not the best. Okay, that's about an hour video. I don't mind. Balance pack predictions plus how to buff every bad LD in the game. Did we buff Wunsa? No, Wunsa I left as is. Wunsa is, I would say, still fine. You could give Wunsa a buff of saying you push up a little bit of A to B, but it's less A to B if there's no things to push up. Or if there's no strip, you still get a push up. I think that would actually be fine. Like, now to think about it, Wunsa, if no strip, some A to B up, but less. I hope you pull Wunsa because he feels bad. No, I kind of feel like the Wunsa issue, like the same thing that Gian had. If you strip nothing, it just doesn't do shit. What about Ritsu can lock more than one? Yeah, I kind of had like guaranteed land, or that you can select when you do it or not. You sacked a... Wait, you pulled Viva? Scribble? Don't troll me like that. Where you do again? Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck her, bro. Wait, is that actually good for you? You don't bruise too much. It's good against Leos, though. Dutch luck better than German luck? I agree. I don't think it was from SWC scroll, because most people would wait with the SWC scroll. FIFA Chill is super nice into Leos, because the moment Leo moves, your FIFA Chill moves right after, Leo dies. It's just amazing. But I think for your general comp, might not be that interesting. I was actually tempted to put FIFA Chow in the selection thingy, but I don't think I will. I think I'd rather have Zinasek. But that kind of depends on the balance patch. Balance patch could change stuff. Yeah, it's just a really good counter pick. Yeah, absolutely. But to be honest, like, I really like those two for Dark, but anything else for Dark, I don't like that much. Was before Rack? That's Ahan. Oh, wait, you guys can see. Haha. It's over there.